Tokyo Detention House. In Katsushika, Tokyo, there exists a facility designed not just to hold the condemned, but to break them psychologically long before their death. The Tokyo Detention House operates under a principle of absolute uncertainty. Inmates on death row live in complete isolation, cut off from all human contact, except the guards who deliver meals through slots in solid steel doors. Every morning, they wake up not knowing if today is the day they die. For decades, they exist in this state. Some wait 30 years. Some wait 40. The Japanese system, codified into law in 1907, forbids any advance notice of execution. The condemned are kept in perpetual dread, unable to prepare, unable to say goodbye, unable to do anything but wait. Then one morning, it happens. Guards enter the cell without warning. They inform the inmate that their time has come. There is no appeal, no delay, no final phone call. Within minutes, the prisoner is led down a corridor to the execution chamber. Inside, a trapdoor waits beneath their feet. The inmate is positioned on the platform, and 3 guards stand at separate stations across the room. Each guard has a button. All 3 press simultaneously. Only one button activates the trapdoor mechanism, but none of the guards know which. This system was designed to obscure responsibility, to spread the psychological weight of taking a life across multiple people, so no single person must bear it alone. The trapdoor opens. The body drops. The rope goes taut. Within seconds, it is over. But for the family, the cruelty extends further. They are not told their loved one is being game overed. They are not allowed to be present. They are not given the chance to say goodbye. The family is only notified after the hanging is complete, after the body has already been removed from the chamber and prepared for release. By the time they learn what has happened, their son or daughter or husband or wife has been dead for hours. The system ensures that even in death, there is no dignity, no closure, only the cold efficiency of state execution. Nusakambangan Island. Off the southern coast of central Java, Indonesia, lies an island wrapped in thick jungle and darker history. Locals call it Execution Island. Nusakambangan serves as a penal colony, and its death row inmates exist in isolation surrounded by a dense forest and the sound of waves crashing against rocky shores. The island holds more than prisoners. It holds a ritual. When the time comes, inmates are not told in advance. They are awakened in the middle of the night, pulled from sleep into a waking nightmare. Guards lead them through darkness, marching them down dirt paths into a clearing deep in the jungle. The trees stand as silent witnesses. The air is thick with humidity and the smell of earth. In the clearing, the condemned is given a choice. They can stand or they can sit. A white target is pinned directly over their heart. 12 men form a firing squad standing just 5 meters away. Their rifles are raised, but only 3 of those 12 weapons contain live ammunition. The other 9 hold blanks. None of the shooters know which rifles are loaded. This is designed to ease conscience, to let each man believe he might not be the one who ended a life. The condemned wait. Some close their eyes. Some stare directly at the squad. In 2015, during the high-profile game overs of members of the Bali 9, witnesses reported hearing the inmates singing together. Their voices carried through the jungle, singing Amazing Grace as the rifles took aim. The melody drifted through the trees, a final act of defiance or perhaps surrender. The command is given. 12 rifles fire simultaneously. The sound echoes across the island. The body slumps. The clearing falls silent again, except for the rustle of leaves and the distant ocean. According to local legend, the Wijrayakusuma flower blooms on this island, a mythical plant said to possess the power to revive the dead, but no flower has ever brought anyone back from this clearing. The jungle keeps its dead, and the island earns its name again. Allan B. Polunsky Unit. In Livingston, Texas, there exists the most active death row in the United States. The Allan B. Polunsky Unit houses hundreds of condemned inmates. But what makes this facility uniquely brutal is not the method of getting game overed. It is what happens to the mind before the body is ever touched. Inmates here are kept in solitary confinement for 22 to 24 hours every single day. The cells are concrete cages with thick steel doors, no windows, no natural light, no human contact. Meals are pushed through slots. Voices are heard only through vents or shouted down hallways. For years, sometimes more than a decade, inmates exist in complete physical isolation from every other human being. They cannot shake a hand. They cannot receive a hug. They cannot feel the touch of another person. Medical professionals have documented a condition they call death row syndrome. It is a severe psychological collapse brought on by extreme isolation. Inmates begin to lose their grip on reality. They hallucinate. They talk to themselves. They forget how to hold conversations. Their minds deteriorate cell by cell, memory by memory, until the person who entered the facility no longer exists. The state does not just kill a body, it kills the mind first, sometimes years before the scheduled game over date. The average wait on Texas death row is 11 years. 11 years in a concrete box. 11 years without touching another human. 11 years watching yourself disappear. Some inmates try to maintain sanity through routines, through writing, through whatever small actions they can control. But the isolation is relentless. It wears down even the strongest minds. In 2011, the facility stopped offering special last meals. One inmate had ordered a massive feast and refused to eat any of it. In response, the state eliminated the tradition entirely. Even this small dignity was removed. Now inmates receive the same institutional food on their final day as they did every day before. The cruelty is absolute. By the time the needle enters the vein, many inmates are already long gone, their minds shattered by years alone in concrete silence. Kwang Central Prison. In Nonthaburi, Thailand, locals have a name for the prison that sits along the Chao Phraya River. They call it the Big Tiger. The nickname is not affectionate. It describes what the prison does. It prowls. It hunts. It eats its victims alive. Kwang Central Prison houses some of Thailand's most dangerous criminals, but for those on death row, the facility reserves a special form of cruelty. For decades, death row inmates were forced to wear heavy leg irons welded directly onto their ankles. The metal shackles were not removed. They stayed on day and night, cutting into flesh, making every step painful, every movement a reminder of what awaited. The weight alone was enough to damage bones over time. Inmates shuffled rather than walked, their legs scarred and weakened from years of constant pressure. This practice was only officially stopped in 2013, but the psychological damage remains embedded in the prison's culture. The facility is notorious for severe overcrowding and conditions that border on unlivable. Cells designed for a handful of men hold twice that number. The air is thick with despair. Disease spreads easily. Food is minimal. Foreigners who have been held here sometimes call it the Hilton, a dark joke mocking the complete absence of anything resembling comfort or dignity. When the time comes for an inmate to be game overed, they receive just 2 hours notice, 120 minutes from the moment they are told to the moment the needle enters their vein. There is no time to process, no time to make peace, no time to say proper goodbyes. The lethal injection is administered efficiently, clinically, without ceremony. For inmates who spent years with iron welded to their legs, who endured overcrowding and filth and constant suffering, those final 2 hours arrive with a strange mixture of dread and relief. The Big Tiger finally finishes what it started years earlier. The needle slides in, the chemicals flow, the body goes still. The prison claims another victim, just as it has for decades, prowling and feeding on those trapped within its walls. Changi Prison. Singapore operates one of the most efficient and unforgiving judicial systems in the world, and nowhere is this more evident than at Changi Prison. The facility is sterile, modern, and high-tech. Everything runs with clinical precision. There is no chaos here, no disorder, just cold, calculated efficiency in the business of ending lives. Game overs at Changi follow a strict schedule. They are carried out almost exclusively at dawn on Friday mornings. The method is always the same, long drop hanging. This is not the slow strangulation seen in other countries. Singapore uses a technique designed to break the neck instantly through precise calculation. The prison maintains detailed tables that match an inmate's body weight to the exact length of rope required. Too short, and the person strangles slowly. Too long, and the head can be torn from the body. The measurements must be perfect. In the days before their scheduled game over, inmates are given a set of clean clothes. They are photographed wearing these clothes for official records. This final photo shoot is part of the bureaucratic process. One more checkbox in a system that treats death as an administrative task. The inmates know what the clothes mean. They know what the camera means. There is no ambiguity. When dawn arrives on that Friday, the condemned is led to the gallows. The noose is positioned carefully around the neck. The rope length has already been calculated based on weight and body measurements. Guards check and double-check the mechanism. Everything must function perfectly. There is no room for error in Singapore's system. The trap door opens. The body drops. The rope goes taut. The neck fractures precisely as intended. Death is nearly instantaneous. The body is left hanging for a measured period to ensure completion, then removed and processed through official channels. The entire procedure is documented, photographed, and filed away. Singapore's strict laws mean even minor drug offenses can lead to this spotless concrete hallway. Possession of small amounts of pixie dust or sleepy juice carries mandatory sentences that end at the gallows. The country does not apologize for its approach. The system operates with terrifying efficiency, treating each game over as just another task completed on schedule. Insein Prison. In Yangon, Myanmar, stands a prison built by the British in 1887. Insein Prison was designed using the panopticon model, a circular structure where guards at the center can observe every cell at once. The architecture was meant to inspire obedience through constant surveillance. But over the decades, the building became something far darker than its designers intended. It became a symbol of brutality. Death row inmates and political prisoners were historically kept in what guards called dog cells. These were not cells meant for human beings. They were tiny stone kennels barely large enough for a person to fit inside. Inmates were chained in twisted positions, their bodies contorted in ways that made sitting or standing impossible. Some were forced to remain on all fours like animals. Others were bent at angles that caused permanent damage to their spines and joints. The very uncomfortable time extended beyond the dog cells. Guards developed methods designed to break both body and spirit. Prisoners were forced to crawl across floors covered in sharp stones that tore open their hands and knees. Beatings were common and severe. The goal was not just punishment, but total destruction of the person inside. Disease runs rampant through the death row section. Cells are cramped and filthy. Medical care is nearly non-existent. Tuberculosis spreads easily in the close quarters. Skin infections from the unsanitary conditions never fully heal. The prison provides minimal food, barely enough to keep inmates alive. Families are allowed to bring additional food, and for many prisoners, these deliveries are the only thing standing between survival and starvation. Muscles atrophy from the twisted positions. Spines curve permanently. Skin breaks down from prolonged contact with stone and filth. The body deteriorates piece by piece, day by day. Some inmates spend years in these conditions before their scheduled game over. Others die from disease or malnutrition before the state ever gets the chance to end them officially. For those trapped in the dog cells of Insein Prison, death becomes not a fear but a release from suffering that has already consumed everything they once were. Kamiti Maximum Security Prison. In Nairobi, Kenya, there exists a section of prison known simply as G Block. This is where death row inmates are held, and the conditions inside are not designed to house human beings. They are designed to break them. Kamiti Maximum Security Prison was built in 1954 with the capacity to hold 1,200 prisoners. Today, it holds thousands in that same space. G Block operates in a state of constant overcrowding. Condemned men are forced to share small cells with no proper sanitation. There are no toilets. Inmates must use buckets for all bodily functions. These buckets fill quickly in the cramped quarters. They overflow. The smell becomes unbearable. Waste seeps across concrete floors. There's nowhere clean to sit or sleep. Disease spreads rapidly in these conditions. Cholera outbreaks occur with disturbing regularity because there's no access to clean water. Inmates drink from the same contaminated sources they use for washing. Ulcers develop on skin that remains constantly damp and filthy. Open sores refuse to heal in the bacteria-filled environment. Bodies break down from the inside out. Kenya has not carried out a game over in years. There is an unofficial moratorium, a pause in state killings. But for the men in G Block, this is not mercy. It is a slower, more agonizing sentence. They remain trapped indefinitely in conditions that serve as their own form of ending. The prison does not need to officially game over anyone. The environment does it slowly, methodically, inevitably. Inmates watch their own bodies deteriorate. Skin diseases become permanent. Respiratory infections from the stagnant air never fully clear. Malnutrition weakens bones and muscles. The human immune system cannot survive prolonged exposure to such filth. One by one, inmates succumb not to a hangman's rope or a firing squad, but to the accumulated effect of living in human waste without clean water or medical care. Evin Prison. In Tehran, Iran, the shadow of the crane hangs over everything. Evin Prison was established in 1972, and since then it has maintained a reputation as one of the most feared detention facilities in the world. It serves as the primary site for holding political prisoners and those convicted of what the state calls crimes against God. The punishment for such crimes is often death, but the method sets Evin apart from nearly every other facility on Earth. Game overs here are sometimes carried out using construction cranes. These are not gallows designed for quick neck fractures. They are industrial machines meant for lifting steel and concrete. When used for hanging, they work differently. The noose is placed around the condemned person's neck, and the crane slowly lifts them upward. There is no sudden drop, no instant break, just a gradual rise into the air as the rope tightens. This method causes death by strangulation rather than a broken neck. It takes minutes. The person kicks. They struggle. Their face changes color as oxygen is cut off. The body fights desperately against the inevitable. Sometimes these game overs are carried out in public, with crowds watching the slow rise and the prolonged struggle. The cruelty is not accidental. It is designed to send a message. But for inmates in the isolation wards of Evin, there is another layer of psychological destruction. Guards conduct mock game overs as a form of very uncomfortable time. They enter a cell and tell the inmate that today is the day. They bind their hands. They walk them down corridors toward the crane. The inmate believes they are about to die. Their heart races. Their mind screams. Then at the last moment, the guards stop. They laugh. They return the inmate to their cell. This happens repeatedly. The mind cannot recover from the repeated trauma of believing death is seconds away, only to be pulled back. Some inmates endure this false process dozens of times before the real game over finally comes. When the crane actually lifts for the final time, the body rises slowly into the Tehran sky. The legs kick and twist. The struggle lasts minutes before the movement finally stops, and the body hangs limp against the morning light. If you want to see more videos like this, click the video on screen now and make sure to subscribe.